Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. This is the second attempt at doing this video. No, it went on for 40 minutes the last time, but this is not going to go on for 40 minutes, I can promise you that. So, I was talking to someone, this friend of mine on Facebook, Chad, on the phone and stuff, and she was telling me that someone was thinking that I'm a black-pilled incel because they saw some post or something. I said, I'm just going to clarify here that I'm not into that. As far as black pill or incel or anything like that, I'm not and people have varying degrees of whether or not they think I'm a misogynist or whatever, and that's fine because I've been into some of the seduction community stuff and the PUA thing for a while. I've read a lot of stuff and I've even done some things here and there. So they're gonna get that out of the way. But speaking of that, as far as a lot of those ideas, I just wanted to do a video to kind of clarify what I think has, like, the manosphere's direction the last 5 to 10 years versus what they used to say and versus what they really defined as success or defined as what is good or healthy. Because and people can criticize the old school guys like David D'Angelo or Mystery or Neil Strauss or Ross Jeffries or Juggler or these guys or Owen Cook, at least his old school things. People can judge that as misogynist or problematic or whatever, but really there's been a cancerous tumor on the manosphere, in my opinion, the last few years with these new movements in a lot of ways, and I bash it because I don't think that it's healthy, and I do think it's actually misogynist in a more dark direction. And I'm going to go into this in this video a little bit, but this is more of clarifying the differences between these definitions that these various movements have, because there are two definitions that I can kind of clarify and kind of set the record straight that I think are describing the same thing to some extent, but there's a crucial difference between the two, and that is black-pilled incel movement, even red pill probably, talk about chads, right? And then the PUA seduction community, men's self-improvement associated with neuro-linguistic programming and all that stuff, and even some woo kind of stuff that I've gotten into because of that movement, because like meditation, which I haven't done enough of, I'm just going to say, magic, all this stuff like Ross Jeffries used to talk about a lot of that stuff, and that's the idea of alpha. So you have these two different definitions, and they mean the same thing. Now, the crucial difference is that the PUA thing is less based on looks. It's less based on the perfect jawline, and shit like that. This is the problem with the whole black pill things. And the crucial difference also is that chads are born, not made, whereas the PUA thing believes you can change yourself, grow as a person, don't even need the perfect looks necessarily, and become alpha. And I can tell you from my own experience that obviously, there's different definitions of what good looking is to some extent. I can tell you from my own experience that the whole idea of alpha males, it's a loaded term, obviously, but the whole idea is that you can change yourself, you can grow as a person, you can work on your inside and become this attractive man, right? And it's all an individual's choice of where what that leads to. And that's kind of how I see it, because how I got into a lot of this stuff is that I did torrent a lot of it. I kind of had a very critical eye on it. I always never took it 100% serious, as far as I made fun of it, because I was on Barry Kirky's show, show and forum and stuff, that made fun of a lot of the seduction community and stuff. So I always had a little a critical eye. I took it with a grain of salt, and that's the way to be. To me, that's the way to be with it, and get as much as free. I did pay for some products and stuff too, but get as much free as possible, sift through it, and kind of figure out your own way. And then there's the other side. Obviously there's guys that got way too into it too, but to me, the overall basis of it is a positive thing. David D'Angelo, Eben Pagan, is a positive person, a positive force. Now, obviously, he, you can say some financial stuff that he's been into lately has been a little questionable. Some of the marketing stuff, obviously there's that, and there's other stuff too. But overall, I think that the products themselves, obviously, selling this stuff for all the money that they did at times was kind of very sketchy. But the actual material is very good. That's my point here. So let's just go override that, because the original seduction community was an underground group of guys that were into they were on these message boards because of Ross Jeffries products, and then they all developed their own thing, and they kind of like fast seduction, all fast seduction, fastseduction.com, these forums that had these guys, and the stuff was free back then, or it was very cheap, or sometimes these guys taught boot camps. They started to do that for not that much money, $300 to $500 sometimes, or maybe even for free sometimes if you just met with the right people and stuff like that. But I'm not going to go into the financial aspects of the sort of sketchy marketing of that whole scene that kind of developed later, because at first it was more free and more like just a bunch of guys trying to do this movement and stuff. And that whole history is probably better handled elsewhere than as far as talking about that. All I'm talking about is the actual material and the actual words of these guys, what they said and what their attitudes are. So we have these two sides, because there's the same thing. A Chad is an alpha male. He goes out and attracts women naturally sometimes. Now, I think looks have a lot to do with things, obviously. But I think attitude, vibe, and energy are more on that alpha side to be able to be developed. Because you can look at the guys that are alpha males, even that one actor, that super pale comedian dude that's like Ted Cruz doesn't like. I mean, he's getting all sorts of women and stuff. I forgot his name, but like he's on SNL or whatever. Like that guy, like, why do women like him? These people are freaking out. And it's like, well, people like a lot of different things, and they may not be traditionally attractive, but if it's what you put out there in the PUA realm, that's what they believed was what worked, what got you to be this certain type of person. And they did believe looks had something to do with it, but not as much. It was more, dare I say, nature versus nurture, because like nature, the nature side in this debate is the whole black pill thing. It's like, yeah, born a sub 5, whereas the PUA is like, hey guys, you can become an alpha, you can like change yourself. Like, I meditate every day, and like I get approached several times a day. I'm just doing Tyler Durden, but anyways, like the whole idea is that you can develop into something better than you are, even if you're not, like, if you can't, I mean, even if you haven't had plastic surgery, or something like that, like, or did mewing or punch yourself in the face to change your facial structure. There was some black pill guy that was suggesting that the most ridiculous, preposterous thing ever, punching yourself in the face. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, to change your jawline? Who are these people? It's almost like thinking about like James Corbett, someone like in the conspiracy truther circle, James Corbett versus QAnon or something. Like the difference, the substantial difference between the actual legit people, even if they're both on this edge of things that most people don't like, it's still, James Corbett is way more like legit than some fucking like nut job on the Q side, So anyways, this whole crucial difference is my kind of why I got into it, because I think it's defeatist, and it's totally illogical to think that if you're like you have a certain look, or you're certain thing, that you can't change yourself enough where you can make up for being a sub 5 and be more like an alpha. Because I think that's just, it's preposterous to say that can't change. and they talk about looks maxing a little bit. They put a little bit, they sprinkle a little bit of that the thing, the remnants of the PUA thing into the black pill itself thing, but like it's very minimal. Whereas like you talk about the PUA thing, that's like the main thing, you know, the main thing. Obviously peacocking and making yourself well groomed. I mean, sometimes I've read PUA material where they said you can look whatever the way you want, but as long as you're like clean and well groomed and like, you know, and sometimes peacock, as they call it, you're fucking gonna pull tens if you have the skills and like develop your conversational skills and your improve your energy. That's more on like the Tyler and Ross side now, like they talk about that. And I believe this shit. I believe this versus this fucking black pill thing. It's like you're a sub 5 or you're the. It's like this fluidity of the fluidity of the PUA scene has been lost in these new men's movements, including red pill, which is kind of in between PUA and black pill in a certain way. Obviously on the color scheme it is too, you know, there's a little bit of black and red, but like, yeah, it's stupid. And I think I don't care if I'm bashing and these trolls are gonna say you like fart videos or whatever. I don't fucking care, whatever. I like, there's these trolls that they go after me and stuff about, or they say you're overweight, you're balding. I'm not really balding, I'm just fucking have a receding hairline. But anyways, I don't fucking care what they think about me. I was called balding in 2009, and you know, like I got really depressed on it, like because I shaved my head back then, and people thought I was balding, and I was getting made fun of on this forum, and like it's not a forum that I was really that involved with. But reason why is because I did this Tyler video, and people got pissed about it, like I made fun of Tyler, but and he's like, oh, you look like Jerry from or not Jerry, what's his name, George from Seinfeld or whatever. And I got really self-conscious and shit about it, and like depressed for weeks about it or whatever. But then, you know, a year or two later, you know, or years later, I was dating a girl that was like had modeled in her earlier 20s and shit too. So fuck you, motherfucker. Anyways, you know, it's like, I mean, that's my whole thing though. It's like, I don't think like it's your intention that you put out there a lot of the time, whereas, you know, these ideas are being sucked out of the manosphere. These good, very positive ideas are being sucked out, in this toxic sludge of bullshit is being poured in. Like it's fucking like it doesn't make sense to not like go back to those old people, old legends, old masters, you know. I'd rather read an old fucking Cliff's List. This is another guy that was in it. Some old Cliff's List with David X's ugly ass, you know, talking some old video from 2007, like an hour video or some shit on his site or whatever. Rather watch that than watch like 1 minute of these black pilled motherfuckers. Okay, this is how toxic it's gotten. Like, because like the whole thing is about Alpha and Chad. They're the same thing from a certain point of view perspective, but there's a crucial difference is that you can become an alpha even if you're not going to be like like you're not going to get plastic surgery or something to look more Chad. You can become an alpha. Maybe you can't go into a room and have girls like line up like or like approach you right away, but you do 2 or 3 approaches and you're in, you know. That's, you know, even if you have like a sub, you know, 5 look or whatever, like you're in because you say the right words or you're funny or whatever, you project the right vibe, the right energy out there. So this whole notion that there's Chads and they're just born that way and it's just immutable kind of thing, it's just so ridiculous. But I'm just saying right now that they're describing the same thing, but the alpha versus Chad thing in many ways. But who gives a fuck? Become an alpha instead of like listening to this bullshit. I still believe in the dream. I still believe in this idea. You know, you can become a better person. You know, I've been in a lot of self-help stuff, and some of it because of my bad habits I haven't followed through on as much as I could have. Now, the times that I do, things get substantially better in my life, and I should look at that. But, you know, people are addicted to chaos, addicted to negativity a lot of time, and they don't even realize it. And that includes me. So sometimes, like, I think that's what's happened in the past. And that's, I'm kind of taking a look at a lot of this stuff because I'm going into the next phase. Now, there's various reasons why I wasn't involved in some of this stuff for a while, and I'm not going to go into that here. But, there's things I might talk about in another video eventually when I'm ready to talk about some things. But anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. But that's pretty much about all. I think the crucial difference there's a crucial difference between Chad and Alpha, the definitions that I believe that Chad and Alpha are describing the same thing, but there's just this fundamental difference that the attitude these people have about these definitions are very much something that people have to take a look at, because I don't think I know in my lifetime that people don't have to be this super Chad to get women or to be successful in life. They can be who they are to some extent, but improve those little aspects, little things, body language, eye contact. This is like what Mystery said in the beginning of the game. What is an alpha male? Or they listed all the stuff, right? And like, it's just disingenuous that these people are out there making money from the black pill thing. I mean, they're making the PUA thing problematic in a lot of ways with the whole financial aspect of it, especially more later on than early on. And obviously problematic to most people about, you're not supposed to approach strangers, blah, 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 whatever. Some people have that attitude or whatever. But anyways, that's about all about this subject for now. I had this conversation. I was thinking, maybe I should talk about this because it's something that I think is important that people talk about, that there's just, it's become so weird in the internet environment that we've kind of abandoned a lot of things, like especially with the men's movements, have abandoned a lot of things that they used to be about. Was it all a lie? Was it all bullshit? Like guys got into the PUA thing and never made any progress or whatever? I think that might be some men's experience, right? Now there are other factors that people don't want to talk about with regards to those situations. I just know for myself, I can speak for myself, when I get going, even online, I'm just gonna straight up say online. I've had more success online probably than in real life because I've focused more on it. But I'm just saying, like, I've had success. I know that you can be successful. Now, online has kind of jumped the shark at this point to some extent. So obviously, regardless of what trolls say, I'm going to be doing more in real life kind of stuff. But in my opinion, like, if you really have that intention and that goal in regards to stuff, and this goes into like the manifestation stuff too, that will become your reality. And I think a lot of these black pill guys are just naturally negative guys, or they're on the spectrum or whatever, which I believe I might be too. But I'm just saying, like, it's like they put this toxicity and negativity out there. Of course they're going to get back worse. So that's about all.